and welcome to Who Dares Roll's Mumbo Jumbo for this August the 12th, 13th, I don't know, sometime coming towards mid-August. I'm a host, Mike B. This is the Mumbo Jumbo for that period of time. Number one, apologies again for the delay in videos. There's reasons for that. I'm going to go into some of that now. And then we're going to do the other stuff. So, you know, that's a plan. That's what we're doing. So, delays. Yes. So, I, for a long time, have been just trying to push through and sort stuff out. There's a lot of stuff going on. I've got a lot of personal stuff going on. The main things to kind of push on the bullet points of that is she who will not game her indoors is not well. She has long COVID. And has had for a couple of years, and it's finally now been diagnosed. It's all coming out. There was fortunate, might be ME, all that. Anyway, what basically that now bumbles down to is debilitating. Debilitating is the word I was looking for. Debilitating. That's a good word. She can't do what she used to do. She's broken at the moment. What the repercussions of that are: number one, when you have a child late in life, a third child when you don't plan to. Isaac. Hi, Isaac. That also puts a lot of exhausting things to be doing and work and everything else. And then if you have a partner who is broken and can't do anything around the house, a lot of it comes on you. So I've been trying to keep the house in order, being house husband for the last 4 to 5, 6 months. I don't know. It's been going on for a while. And trying to balance that between work, doing the chores, looking after the boy, doing the things, and doing this, and it's tricky. I'll be honest with you, it's exhausting and it's tricky, and to be able to then kind of spontaneously come in here and be the witty, charming person that I normally are, it's not easy. So there you go. Now I pondered things. I thought, do I just pull the plug entirely and just say that's all, folks? We had a good run. And I don't want to do that because I've spent many years doing this now. It's amounted to fuck all, but for me, it is a thing that happens. There is a scattering few of you. There's James, there's all of you out there. I'm not going to go into it, but there is a loyal, small fan base of you. You presumably enjoy some of what I do. So you watch and you come back. And it's a thing, and there's hundreds of us all doing our thing out there. It's some degree of success in others, maybe not so in others, and that's that. That's a thing, and this is that, and that's words. So all of that encapsulated, all that over there, it just means what's next. So I think I don't want to count it all off because, as I say, it's over 10 years worth of pondering doing this. As I say, not to great acclaim, but doing it. It would seem now the computer's beeping at me at this point in time, which is always a joy. So yeah, there's all that going on. So it's what's next? What's the next step? So I don't really kill it off. I think we will pressure on, but it does mean that there may be gaps, larger gaps between videos. There may be like this, which would be a Frankenstein's kind of monster, because there is going to be stitched together bits of video from other videos I've filmed in incremental bits and been interrupted. So we're going to look at a longer release schedule coming up. I think they will drop when they drop. They will treat, unexpected treat when they arrive. They're probably going to be longer because they're going to be probably stitched together from a couple of other videos. So that's the state of play, and I think that at least we're all on the same page. That's what's going on. Now, let me know what the thoughts are. No one's going to tell me to go, well, Mike, fuck off, I'd imagine, but but this is the internet. But yeah, just a window of that. Things may get better. She's getting support now. She's got some clinics she's going to. She's got stuff going on. There is a potential that maybe some normality might, in the preceding months, years, come together. Isaac's going to get older. Things are going to change. But yeah, currently at this point in time, it's kind of knackering and it's exhausting. And more importantly, I don't have the time. That's the problem. And then, I want to do something. with a little effort, some modicum of effort to it, and make it at least appear that I'm trying. But so there you go. That is kind of the state of play. That is the dress is where we are, the state of the nation, as it were. And there you go. That is all of that. So that is done. So that is go and have a look at what I have had the time to play. Played. Now, I'm going to have to try and piece this together through a couple of videos because I think I've already filmed some of this. So I'll go in first, hard and fast, into what I played the other night, and then there may be stuff cut into this of other stuff I've discussed having played. I can't remember what has been said. So what we played the other night was Inventions, Vita Larcerda's more recent thing, his latest Euro joint. Larcerda, if you're late to this party, he makes heavy Euros. I've intertwined with Ben's love of Euros, and he's been backing a lot of the Larcerda stuff. I don't know if he's going for Speakeasy, which is a new one that's coming out. But anyway, so this is Inventions. We have previously played On Mars, or I think it's called On Mars, which, yeah, I found okay. We never played it with the Alien expansion. At some point we might. We played the car one, Kanban, which I was on. Escape Plan, which I quite enjoyed. Actually, it's the one still stands as the Larcerdas that I've played. It's much easier barrier of entry, and I enjoyed that. Pardon me. And we played Weather Machine, which is less about that, the better. So, here we are, Inventions. So his latest effort, Inventions, what are we doing? That's a good question. We're inventing stuff. In the shocking turn of events, we are inventing stuff. And what you have a player board in front of you where you're doing some business on that. There is this kind of economy of meeples that these scientists, they're meeples that you're sending out to do stuff. You're essentially sending them out to do a bunch of different things. There's about 8-9 actions in total you can do with this central section of the board where you place a pillar. Basically, you have 3 pillars, a large one and 2 small ones. The large one you place down at the start of every round, and then anyone going in the same spot as that large thing will give you a I can't remember what it is, but it's a point value on something else which will allow you to do more of other stuff. And then the other ones have to go down in different spaces, and every round, at the change of every round, the big meeple goes down after everyone's done put all 3 of their pillars down, and we do rinse repeat, and there's some scoring going on in between all that. So yeah, what you're basically doing is you're putting your pillars down on this central area of the board to choose a thing to do. They basically run down to a few things. They are going to be inventions, which are cards. So inventions are cards which have 2 sides on them. So the first action you can do is pop one of these cards out to say, hey, I've had an idea, what about this? Second to that, then, other interactions are with that card. You can send one of your meeples of the specific type to that card to either invent it, because that's just an idea at that time, or to innovate that idea. And there will be other chained sub-actions to you doing some of this stuff. There's also business on the board of meeples and area control on the board that ties into end game. And when inventions are invented, any meeples attached to that area of the board will then spill out into these areas. And then there's another sort of sub-game of you moving those around to get extra stuff to chain actions. And you have these chain icons on your board, which we can use to spend, and you gain more of these as the game progresses by doing other stuff to chain actions together. So you do one thing, and then you chain an action to do another thing, and then you can chain an action to do another thing potentially. So you can kind of have a lot of business going on if you can line all your ducks up in a row, which is quite mental gymnastics, as you would expect, because it's to do with the economy of the meeples you got there. There's only a finite amount of them, and you're generating them and they're going on the board and getting them back by other actions. There's also the inventions themselves have predefined requirements as the game goes on that you need to know to be able to actually invent it, and a certain amount of meeples will go to it to do that, to invent it, and that's another bit of business going on the other side of the board you can play around with. So that's it. There's the main things, the main board and the inventions and the moving around the board and doing stuff over there. Over the other side of the board, there is knowledge, what you know. Everyone kind of starts with something, and as generationally, as you go through generations, they bump over, more people know more stuff, because knowing's how you know stuff. And that's it. And there's a lot of business about, work at placement of either to manipulate that side of the board or this side of the board, or then this chaining. You also have a player board in front of yourself. As I've said, with your meeples on, there's also some other bits and pieces going on. There's like your own separate sort of board of playing tiles down. You generate through actions some tiles that you can then place on this board, again by costing the meeples and other stuff, which will either give you one-time actions, ongoing effects, yada 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 yada. And again, there's all sorts of rules of placement on that. Oh, if you followed any of that, well done. It's a Larcerda game, so again, it is engines. There's lots of engines within engines and stuff, and this chaining action. I mean, okay, it was my first play of it. I know the other lot, I'd played this a couple of times before. When I was ill, I'd gone round and they were playing it, and I just looked and gone, fuck off. But so this was my first play of it. Ben did the teach. Good old Ben. Well done, Ben. And to be fair, I won the game. I think my process was finding kind of a route through all of this and just sticking with that, which is kind of what I did. And there's end-game scoring cards that I hadn't looked at the entirety of the game, and I scored some extra points on that. But yeah, so I won. I suspect it's a game I would return to another time and lose terribly, probably now if I tried to apply a strategy to that. Where do I stand on this? I mean, I don't mind some Larcerda games. As I say, Escape Plan stands high. This is better than Weather Machine. It's less complex than Weather Machine, but it's doing a lot of stuff again, and it's heavy. I enjoyed to a point what I was doing. I liked the gymnastics that my brain was doing to try and work out what I was doing, and that engine and that efficiency. And there's a real lot of room to play with that and to kind of have a walk around and kind of in that area and tweak and fiddle at it. It's all good stuff if that's your thing. And I think, if you're a Larcerda fan and you like your heavy Euros, then this is absolutely going to be up in your wheelhouse. I kind of come down to the point of, I don't mind heavy Euros. I mean, Terra Mystica, I remember when I first learned that, was like, Jesus Christ, this is a monstrous beast. In comparison to stuff like this, it's really not. But that is the more happier end of the heavy I think I'm at. I just think this may be too much. Just in that I enjoy it. I could play it again. I'd happily play it again, I think. I wouldn't want to own it and have to teach it. It is something you'd have to play multiple times, I think, to get a real feel for it. And this is one of the big problems with these big, massive Euro games Ben has, is that they're often 4 players only, and it's once in the blue moon we get to do that. But yeah, if that's your jam, then it is doing more of the same. I mean, this is much better than Weather Machine. It's more intuitive than Weather Machine. Graphic design is better than Weather Machine. Let me say that 5 times first. Weather Machine for me was a bit of an abomination, and Ben even didn't go for it. But this was Inventions. That's Inventions for Vita Larcerda. I give it a kind of vague thumbs up because it was all right. I don't want to own it. I'd happily play it again. But for me, it's just fine. It's fine, but there's a lot of thinking to be doing. I don't mind it, but sometimes it's quite nice to sit down and play something a bit junkier. Hopefully in the other video, the other stuff, I've mentioned El Grande, which in a nutshell review here, I'll say again, was like Mission Red Planet, but more Euro, a bit Beja. But fun, I enjoyed that. We've been playing some World Championship Russian Roulette, which I picked up cheap and cheerfully. It's a real simple push your luck game, really random, of you basically playing Russian Roulette around the table with some variable cards added to allow you to fuck with stuff. It is fun, it is light, it is entertaining. I like the theme. It's not the easiest thing to get hold of. It's Tuesday Games, the guys who did 2 Rooms of the Boom. I picked my copy up from Amazon US. If you change the Amazon location to the US store, then you can order stuff and it gives you the price of the postage attached. And it actually worked out about 20 quid, so £25 something. And I had a voucher, so it was cheaper. Anyway, that. And that's all we played. And Risk Legacy, which I won't go into any more Risk Legacy. I think I've done enough, and I think I spoke about it in the other video. So we won't do any more of that. Should we do some news? I think it's about time to do some news. News! News, all the news fit to print. I can go over there. That's that there. There is a lot of news actually, but I'll go for the basics. Something that jumped out at me the other day: Universal Head, or the Esoteric Order of Gamers. His name's gone out of my brain for the minute. Basically, it's a gent from Australia, I think it is, and it's probably now New Zealand, so I've offended him. Whoopsie. He creates guides to games. So you get your game come out and all that. He produces reference sheets for them essentially, and they're really well designed, formatted, kind of quick to look at ways to grok games. As a rule of thumb, if he's created one of these sheets, or they usually come in 2 or 3 depending on the complexity of the game, I would nearly always pick a copy up, print it and stick it in the box, because they're just really helpful. They dilute down all the rules and how it all works and all the things, and you can kind of get them out, and they're pretty good as memory jogs to play games, and they're really great. I've been doing that for years. He has a Patreon account. They've announced a app. They are doing a tabletop codex. What essentially this thing is going to do is it's take these rules references and pop them into an app, so you've got them on a phone in one place. I think you can do a few bits of business with it. You can kind of log your own games against it, so you can keep a record of them, and essentially it's just an online resource of those things with like tabletop contents of it. Tabletop contents. It's got an index of stuff, so you can touch buttons and you can find rules really simply. Fascinating to me, interesting, because obviously in the prior life I spent some time working with the Dice guys, with the Dice app, which is out there, which is a far more involved version of this, which will kind of talk you through how to play games and demo it and show you graphically and all that. This is a much more simpler end of the spectrum, but as I say, I highly rate his sheets, his reference sheets, guides. They're always worth having. So this is fascinating to me. It is something that I would probably make use of, I'll be honest. It's only available in the Apple Store at the moment, so I haven't got it physically to touch, play, fiddle and see how it works. But at the moment, it's on Apple if you've got Apple. It's coming to Android. So once it does come out, once I get a chance to remember to get it and download it and have a look at it, I'll see how I get on. But yeah, interested. So there's that. A quick call out to Martin Paul and the Big C. Martin works with Awaken Realms. I know he was involved in the Game Found setup and all that sort of bits and pieces. He's been on the periphery of the industry for a while, working for various things. I know Martin. He is, with the help and assistance of the art by the Nico, I think that's how he's pronounced, and Peter Chiaraski. Oh, I'm sorry about that, Peter. They've got a book they've got out. It's on, I think it's, I want to say Game Found, somewhere like that, back a kit or somewhere. It's the Big C. What it's to do with is a few years back, Martin was diagnosed with cancer. And he was struggling with how to have that conversation with the family and the children, and how what support there was, and there wasn't for that. So has this book coming out, which is all to do with how to have that conversation with your family, your kids, or whatever. I'm aligned to point to that. I mean, I'm not going through that personally myself or the family, but we've got a similar situation with Erin Doyle's been a bit broken, and Nate, who used to be on the podcast, I know quite well, has been through this battle himself recently. Big up to Nate, who's still going strong, and I'll be going to his wedding later in the year. So yeah, it's a thing close to home. Pretty much all the proceeds of this going to a charity. I will pop the link in the comments, so you can go and find that along with the other thing I was discussing. Anything I've discussed, I will hopefully pop the links in the comments. But yeah, if you can go ahead, it's about 12 quid to pick up a copy of the book, and all those proceeds are going to charity, and it's all in a good spirit and good thing. So there you go. There is that. You should probably go and look at that. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? Other news, Jamie Stackmeyer rattled some more cages the other day. We was doing a little bit on reviewers. I'm presuming one has to kind of guess to a certain extent. That was fueled by the Simon Lavender Amassed Games debacle, which I covered a video ago. I was going to do a deep dive into more of that because I've looked at the actual video in question, which some of that might follow this, although it's kind of a bit late to the party now. The original BGG thread has been now closed off. and it's kind of, as per usual, like a fart in a thunderstorm is kind of blown away as the ambulance has travelled down the road, and we've moved on to another drama. But yeah, that was a thing. And yes, Simon Lavender. Well, you know, that's not go down there. Anyway, Jamie Stegmaier doing that, if that's your thing. But I imagine that's where it's come from. Other news, Portal Games have been in touch. My mate Ignacy Chevacek, he has asked if I would quite like to have a copy of Resurgence, which is the new Portal release for this Essen. It is a reprint of a previous Kickstarter game by the designer whose name escapes me at this moment in time. It's a post-apocalyptic Euro bag builder. I remember seeing some bits and pieces of this announced a little while ago and thinking, oh, that looks kind of cool. And it still looks very cool. And he said, would you like a copy of that to review? And I went, yes. So that is incoming. When it arrives, I will get that played, and then I will give you some opinions on that. And that is going to be available at Essen this year. And I think that is all the news that I have to news about. In other news and other stuff, there's not much else to report really. I've just mentioned the Portal Games thing. Dragon Meet's coming up in the end of the year. I don't know whether we're going to go to that. I've been otherwise entertaining myself with late night watches of Succession, which is always fun to watch Brian Cox be vile to people and swear a lot. It's basically a show about very rich people being horrific to each other and everyone around them. And it's quite funny. It's got one of the writers behind the thick of it, I think, in there, and it is that vibe of it, that kind of witty repartee and everyone being vile to each other, and it's fun. It's kind of like Game of Thrones about so many dragons or violent battles, but basically the same level of cuntery going on throughout it. So that's always worth a watch if you've not watched any of that. I watched Dune Part 2 finally. I picked that up, digital from Prime, because I haven't got a 4K player, but if I could buy it to watch, then I can get nice. Anyway, thoughts. I enjoyed it. I thought it was fine. I'd heard a lot of reviews prior to it coming, or it being out at the time, of it being not as great as the first part and kind of falling down a bit. I think most of that I stand by. I always loved the Lynch movie. And I appreciate it has essentially the Lynch movie is kind of most of what movie one of these Dune movies covered, and then they kind of bolt on in the last 10 minutes the entirety of what this movie's doing, and it skips over and all that stuff. So this at least goes a bit better, deeper dive into that style of things. Generally, I enjoyed it. I mean, there's a great cast as always. I felt that the action was a bit lacking at points. I kind of could have done with a bit more mayhem towards the end. It's tearing along at a rate of knots and kind of ticking boxes, and it does all the stuff. Just feels that sometimes the first movie, even to a point, felt like it wasn't stopping to smell the roses. It was kind of propulsive. The Lynch movie kind of had Lynch's vibe and that kind of a little bit more, even though it is doing a lot more in a very short period of time, kind of, I don't know, it just felt sometimes it stopped to smell the flowers occasionally a little bit more often, for me. Anyway, if you like Dune, if you read Dune, if you're a Dune fanatic or fan, then yeah, you've probably already watched it. There is the part 3 eventually coming. He's going to do the Messiah book, which would be fascinating. Look, at the end of the day, it's huge, big budget filmmaking with quite an esoteric grown-up sci-fi thing going on. We don't get that very often, so for that I applaud. And it was good. I enjoyed it. I just feel that I could have done with a bit more action towards the end. It kind of really kind of skips. You've been building to kind of this, and it kind of footnotes it all really. But I guess it's got stuff to get to. But on the whole, enjoyable. It's definitely probably a 4-star for me. Go and do star ratings now. I don't know. I think the first part is closer to 5, whereas this one feels like less so of it. It's still pretty solid stuff. It's Juniness, and I like Dune. Can't get enough Dune. Always nice, and I look forward to what comes next. And there's a new TV show starting soon, which does look cool. So that's it, really. Other than that, we've been watching Twin Peaks. Speaking of Lynch, coming towards the close of season 1 of that, so that'd be kind of cool. And I've been trying to talk. Son number 1, Ollie, has been watching Twin Peaks with us. I'm kind of feeding him bits of Lynch So I think we may do a bit of a semi-dive into some Lynch movies post or during this, because everyone needs a bit of David Lynch in their life. So there's that. That's all kind of cool. And then Rings of Power is out now. I haven't watched any of that yet. Weird. I'm kind of resoundingly nah with it. I watched the first season. I love Tolkien. I've read Lord of the Rings. I've read The Hobbit many times. The Jackson movies are fantastic. Yet somehow all of that, I'm not like slavering at the bit to go and watch this, which is kind of tells you something's a bit wrong really, because I should be kind of the target audience. I will watch it. Have you watched it? What was it like? I've heard favourable things about it, so at some point I will get round to it. I just found that after the first season was generally a bit nah on the whole thing, because it just nah. There was something else I was going to say. The thought crossed my mind as I was gasbagging about that, and it has now passed me by. So that's good. Was it Rings of Power? Don't know. May have been something else. Who knows? Oh well, that's gone now. So there you go. That is this video. That was me talking stuff at you for whatever period of time that went on for. Was it 10 minutes, 20 minutes, was it hours? I don't know. Who's knows? Partially to do with Future Mike and Past Mike. I'm kind of just a slave to them, strange beasts. Nice to catch up with you all. Apologies for the delay in the videos, reasons, as you know. There will be more videos. Mike B will return. But yeah, for the time being, nice to see you all. Keep playing games, keep enjoying yourself, and I'll be back at some point soon with more of this, I guess. Until then, I'll fuck off and do some stuff, alright? Bye!